I grew up most of my childhood in Korea, middle of nowhere, small town. My dad was a church planting pastor who loved small churches, which meant we were always moving every 2 years from one small city to another. Cities got smaller, less traffic lights, less schools. It wasn't until I turned 10. I have an older sister who's 12. My parents set us down and we thought, let's go to Seoul for summer. The conversation was, hey, we're gonna actually go to America. And we're like, America? Where is America? Land in McLean, Virginia, which is a very, very wealthy city in Virginia. We have an aunt who lives in Virginia. She immigrated there, I think in the 70s. She's done really well. So we moved there. No house. My parents didn't have much money. They were in ministry all their life. I remember my aunt picking us up in her this giant Cadillac. I remember America being so big, cars big, people are big. I think we stopped by McDonald's that day. And I remember thinking everything is just different. August 9th, I land there. I think September, I'm at school, Spring Hill Elementary School in McLean, Virginia, one of the most ritzy areas in the town. But here I was, grade 5, didn't know the alphabet. Only phrase I've learned from the moment I found out I was going to America. Only phrase I've learned for 3 months was this phrase: "I am a boy." Right? That was the only phrase I knew. I've never used it. So Mrs. Ogilvy sees me and she's like, okay, this guy knows nothing. She put me in the library with the librarian, and she made me make these scrapbooks. Gave me a bunch of magazines. I think we had these National Geographic. I don't know what kind of magazines we had, but I cut up these magazines. I think the librarian lady would help me. This is a car, so I'll put CAR car. This is a bike, right? If that wasn't enough, Mrs. Ogilvy at the end of the day, every day, she would make me stand in front of the class, right? 5th grade, right? These are not nice little kids. And she'd be like, hey, can you present your scrapbook? And I'd be like, okay. So I'd be like, this is a car. This is a cat. So I had no shot of making any friends, right? So grade 5, second day, I gave everyone Korean names. I'll be like, oh, I'll write their name, like Chris. I'll write their name in Korean. And all the kids were just going crazy. They were just like, oh my goodness. So I made friends. I was never in the cool circle, but I made friends. And eventually there were other Korean kids that landed there and we became friends. I think it took maybe 2 to 3 years for me to get adjusted. My dad's original plan was to go back to school, perhaps get a PhD. That was sort of his dream, like a theological degree. But they realized the reality. Things were really expensive. We didn't have much money. So my parents got odd jobs. My mom got a job at a dry cleaner for a Korean couple. They eventually became best friends. It was actually one of the better stories. She met all these politicians because she got a job at a cleaners in McLean, Virginia. I remember her telling me meeting Bill Clinton for the first time. And she's like, he's the most charming person in the world. I was like, yeah, Mom, be careful. My dad was a part-time pastor at a local church, didn't get paid very well. But also he tried to do a couple different things. Every career is unique, but being a pastor also comes with a very unique set of challenges and joys. I grew up thinking I would always be an entrepreneur, right? Growing up, seeing my mom struggle ever since we moved to America. Paying bills was tough. I've seen my mom pick up multiple jobs. My dad, doing multiple jobs, cleaning offices. The moment we moved to America and seeing them struggle a lot with money and finances, I didn't know what I wanted to become. I just knew I wanted to make a lot of money. When I thought about going to college, it wasn't even a choice for me. It was like, business management. That's the easiest way to get there and be able to get a job and be able to provide. So I left the States as soon as I graduated college. So after I've majored in business management, after I had some work experience, and after being removed from America, I was in Korea. I think I was able to really do some soul searching and say, hey, what do I really want to do with my life? And I've seen my dad make a great impact in the lives of people around him, community. I had mentors that in the church was really challenging me. Hey, I think you have certain traits. Sure, you're not going to be the conventional pastor. Maybe you're rough around the edge and you might do it differently, but I think you have, you might be able to do it and you might enjoy it. Yeah, it wasn't until in my 30s, I think I felt more comfortable with the idea of being a pastor. I started going to seminary at 28, but I didn't go into full-time church ministry until 29, 30. I never thought, okay, I'm gonna move to Korea and do this English church thing. I was serving at a church called Jubilee. It was Korean American. We have also international community as well. At this point, I was at Jubilee for about 10 years, right? I was serving as a full-time pastor for about maybe 7 or 8 years. And the senior pastor and I just had an honest conversation because the decision was made by the main leadership to plant a new church, maybe even a year or 2 years ago before this conversation. But we didn't have a person. I think the most important thing is we need a person to be able to lead the church plant. In my honest conversation with the senior pastor and myself, and just looking at Jubilee Church and our community, I felt led to raise my hand and say, well, maybe I could try this, right? I've tried the pastor thing. I didn't know I wanted to do it. Maybe I could try this. From there, lots of conversations with my wife, with friends, with leaders of Jubilee. Took about, I want to say, another 1.5 years or 2 years for us to leave and plant. And I think the bigger challenge of being an international church pastor is the relationship fatigue, because people are always coming and going. So within 3 years, you'll probably have turned over 75% of your congregation. There are a group of people that are here for long term, that are staying. They have planted their family here, but 75% of our congregation are here on a midterm or short term sort of work. So every year, I've said goodbye to very good friends. And now that I have 2 girls and a wife, goodbyes are harder. It's not simply 2 dudes saying goodbye, we'll catch up. It's like my girls' best friends that are transitioning. My wife's best friend, they're transitioning. The great thing is you meet so many new people. The terrible thing is you say too many goodbyes. National identity, obviously, I have the U.S. passport, so I can't dispute that. I like to believe I am more cultured than I was 17 years ago. But I could just be Korean ajushi, convincing myself I'm not. I've seen a lot of beauty in the culture. I've seen a lot of beauty in the way people interact. I think Korean culture gets bad rep, especially by Korean Americans, because I think we think we're better, but there's a lot of beauty in Korean culture. And it is evolving. My idea of Korean culture is very limited, and it's probably very shallow. And I probably think I know more than I do. And even like hanging out with this couple this past weekend, complete Korean couple, never lived outside of Korea. I had these assumptions or these ideas of what they would be like, but no, they were like totally cool. They're more Western than even global than even like my wife and I in some ways, and the way they thought about parenting, the way they thought about politics and relationship. I was like, oh yeah, Korean culture is evolving very, very quickly. And I think even when someone's watching this, they'll be surprised about stuff that we're talking about, because I think their reality, maybe 30 or 40 or 50 years later, will be very different from what they're hearing from all these interviews. My name is Hangmin. This is my Korean American story.